From 1933 to 1938, the Nazis come to power. In the 1932 election, Paul von Hindenburg, who was already the president of Germany, was re-elected. Hitler came in second place, but neither man had a majority of the votes. Von Hindenburg was worried because the German people were still upset. They had no faith in the government. In 1933, he decided to appoint Hitler to be Chancellor of Germany so more people would trust the government. He thought Hitler would help him rebuild the country. Von Hindenburg was wrong about that assumption. When Hitler became Chancellor, he and the Nazis quickly took over. They declared a state of emergency and took away people's rights. This meant that the Nazi police could read anyone's mail, listen to their telephone calls, and search their homes. People who spoke out against the Nazis were called enemies of the state. Some people were sent to makeshift prisons called concentration camps. Books they wrote were burned. Many people were hurt or killed. About 1 year later, President von Hindenburg died. Adolf Hitler decided he should be the only leader in Germany. He called himself the Führer. Then things began to get much worse for a lot of people. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis believed that some groups of people were better than others. They wanted to create a master race. They called the master race the Aryans. To the Nazis, the perfect Aryan had blonde hair, blue eyes, and light skin. They were supposed to be tall and strong. The Nazis thought some people were inferior. These groups included Jews, Gypsies, and people who were mentally or physically handicapped. The Nazis made laws forbidding them from getting married or having children. Many people tried to leave Germany, but other countries were having hard times too. Most countries, including the United States, were having trouble feeding their own people. After the Nuremberg laws were enacted, Jewish people were treated extra badly by the Nazis. They could not be German citizens anymore and were kicked out of schools. Doctors, lawyers, or people who owned businesses were forbidden to do their work. Park benches and the beaches had signs saying "No Jews allowed." Jews even had to give away their pets. Every month, new laws were written by the Nazis to hurt the Jews and others. For Nazis, or the people who helped them, life began to improve. They were given jobs, like painting signs that said "No Jews allowed." The jobs that were taken away from non-Aryans had to be done. Lots of police were needed to enforce all of the new laws. People who helped the Nazis were allowed more food than people who disagreed with them too. In a country that had been so poor after the First World War, more food sounded great. Many people were happy and excited to be Nazis. The Nazi men wore fancy uniforms with shiny, tall, black boots. Aryan women were expected to have lots of perfect Aryan children. Even the children were supposed to join the Hitler Youth, a club that taught them how to be Nazis. The Nazis paraded through towns with their flags. They made it seem exciting to be a Nazi. The radio stations and newspapers were controlled by the Nazis. They played Nazi songs. They told how wonderful Adolf Hitler and the Nazis were. They convinced some Germans that people who were different were subhuman or Untermenschen. They used the mass media like radios and newspapers to hurt certain groups of people. The Nazis used a lot of propaganda to gain the support from German people. In November 1938, things changed. The Nazi government began to use violence against Jewish people instead of just passing laws and saying bad things. For 2 days, all over the country, they destroyed Jewish businesses. They burnt down Jewish places of worship called synagogues. Homes were broken into. People were beaten. About 30,000 people were arrested, and many were never seen again. Every Jewish person was in danger. Children and old people, women and men, rich people and poor. These 2 days are now called Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass. Some Jewish people thought times were as bad as they could get, but then they got much worse.